Hey, my name is Sean, and I'm wrong on this movie.
I don't think it's awful.
God, I can't believe this.
I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's a good movie. I just said I don't think it's awful. I don't hate it.
Face.
I don't hate it. I don't hate X-Men: The Last Stand.
Wrong.
I watched it, and like there's some entertaining bits to it. It's not a great movie. There's
because
certainly a lot.
Batman and Robin's good too, for God's sake.
Batman and Robin is hilarious.
That should be how serious you take this opinion.
Batman and Robin is a comedy masterpiece. Like it's a bad movie, but it's fucking hilarious.
No, this definitely wasn't a comedy masterpiece.
There's some funny bits.
It's definitely a roll your eyes and cry masterpiece. Like you can mourn killing everyone's favorite Cyclops, 15 minutes into a movie, or Professor Xavier about 7 minutes later. Your two of your most interesting characters. Just don't want them. Don't want them in this film.
Yeah, but at least we got a really cool Kelsey Grammer casting as Beast.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's a great.
He's in it a lot of the movie. Like, honestly, he left a better impact.
And we still have Rogue, and we have Kitty Pryde, who we introduced for
some reason. Just doesn't do anything.
Iceman becomes kind of his own man in this movie.
Right, he kicks Pyro's ass, which is in his little Dragon Ball Z fight.
A very terrible fight scene too. Actually, that's something we need to break down.
There's some good. There's some.
That was not one of them.
There's some action bits that are pretty good, and then there's some that are kind of laughable. Like there's the one where Storm comes in and she's literally doing her spin move.
Wires, baby.
There is a lot of wire work. This feels straight out of like Austin Powers. One of my wires broke. Like, there's a few bits that remind me of Austin Powers in this one.
Could Frankie Jasmine, or however you say her name, walk in this movie? Because she seems like she just stands there or is on wires. The lady who played Dark Phoenix.
Oh, Famke Janssen?
Famke Janssen. I can't pronounce her name. But yeah,
right, she does walk? Nothing. Yeah,
does she move in this movie?
She floats.
Yeah, that's wires.
She walks out of the lab after she tries like wrapping her legs around.
Oh yeah, so she does take steps. So she kind of. I'm glad to know Famke Janssen can walk after watching her stand around for 15 minutes on film.
Okay, so they have two big storylines in this thing, and they really should have focused on one, because the other movies had like one big thing to focus on. Like, there were some interesting ideas still. Like, there's some interesting conflicts in there about, like, there's so many hypocritical things with the mutants and that, like, Magneto's, like, they're
Magneto's an idiot in this
Magneto
movie.
is really dumb, and, like, which is weird, because the other movies did a good job showcasing his intelligence. By this point, he's just, like, I don't even care anymore.
I'm checked out. I've made a lot of money.
I've made my money.
We're probably screwed anyway, so...
I don't know. Like, because this one had a lot of hype, I remember, when it was coming out, because X2... was a much better movie than the first X-Men movie. But this time around, we changed the creative teams. He who shall not be named is no longer in the director's chair because he went to direct another movie about Superman, starring another actor who shall not be named. Boy.
Yeah, interesting casting there.
Right. Actually was a pretty decent Lex Luthor, but that's because they are a real-life supervillain, let's be honest.
He's not acting in that one.
Okay, boy, like, at least we don't have to talk about direct... Oh, wait, that's right, he does come back to make 2 more X-Men movies.
They were pretty good X-Men movies.
Right, like, except for Apocalypse.
He can make movies, it's just,
he's just
the other things.
Right.
He's kind of like the Suicide Squad guy, I just wouldn't trust him for too long.
Okay, but anyways, back to X-Men: The Last Stand. As you can see, we're so enthusiastic to talk about this one. I know Jordan's been, like, anticipating. He's, like, calling me up. He's like, Sean, I'm so excited to rewatch my favorite X-Men movie.
It was
X-Men:
just as wonderful this time. This is it. This will be the last time this movie's ever watched.
You'll watch it, like, 10 years from now when you're drunk or something.
Oh, no.
You're drunk and flipping through the stations on TV. I've only seen this movie once before. I watched it on TV like a few years ago, and like I didn't really love it, but I didn't really hate it. Like, because I mean, there's bits I thought were kind of cool. I like the scene where Magneto like lifts the Golden Gate Bridge. Which, by the way, if you were in a movie, stay the fuck away from that goddamn bridge because it keeps getting destroyed in every single thing. It's either attacked or destroyed, and it's actually rarer, I think, for that bridge not to be attacked.
Hey, it doesn't get destroyed in the room.
That's true, but
attacked.
Right, that's the one movie. Like everything else, like it's just eviscerated, or maybe who knows? Maybe it did get destroyed in an earthquake or something right afterwards. We don't know. Like, I mean, maybe when Johnny like passed out, it was like you heard the sirens and all that. And just I don't know. I'm going off topic, but that damn bridge is attacked so many fucking times in movies. It's like, oh look, the Golden Gate Bridge got destroyed again and again and again. But that was a cool sequence there where he just lifts it up.
And then the edit where it goes from day to night.
Right, that was like, it was bright day, and then like he sets it down, and then they make it look like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and walk right to this thing, and then all of a sudden it's pitch black at night, which I'm like, what the hell happened? Did the sun set in like 5 seconds? Is there a mutant superpower I'm not aware of? Like that just blacks out the sun?
Well, there could have been, because there's about, 500 unnamed mutants in this movie.
Right, they just keep throwing more and more characters into this.
There's so many characters in this movie, and
Nightcrawler is in it too, but we forget he's not even utilized. Like,
was he in this?
Yeah, he was in the church. You could see him climbing on the walls, and that's it.
Oh my god, that is him, isn't it?
Right, he does nothing though.
I think that's why they killed Cyclops off, because it's like, how many more characters do you need?
Right, like why even bring in like Kitty Pryde at all? Oh, because we got to have the dumb love triangle shit.
Yeah, that was really bad. I mean, I kind of thought it was funny because the love triangle between Rogue, Kitty Pryde, and Iceman starts at a funeral, and he has Rogue on the right of him and Kitty Pryde on the left. Iceman, so he's a very ballsy man.
Right. You know he is. He's Chaz from Wedding Crashers.
Yeah. I mean, he's literally cheating on his girlfriend at a funeral, which is probably the most inappropriate venue.
You can't touch me, but this one can. Oh, yeah. I'm so sad over the death of Oh, wait, actually, we're not going to have
a funeral. She can touch him. She has gloves.
Right.
So there's one plot hole. I mean, I know it's not the same, but come on.
Right.
Man. Rogue, did I mention Rogue still sucks in this movie?
Rogue is not good in any of these movies. Yeah. I'm going to be 100% honest when I say that.
And now she's not even a mutant anymore at the end of this film. So.
Right. She like goes through the change and all that.
Which kind of defeats the whole point of the X-Men in the first place, so...
Yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy. I mean, it's an interesting idea, like, how, like...
Because some of the mutants love this cure concept. They're just in line.
Well, like, Rogue, I can understand, because she can never, like, really get intimate with somebody, like, feel, like, the warmth of human contact because of her powers and all that. Yeah, so, with her, it's, like, an interesting kind of gray... There's a bit of gray area that the movie kind of touches on a little bit, and that's the stuff I kind of liked. Like when the president is talking with Beast about the whole thing, like why they apprehended prisoners, like, oh, it's a cure, but then it could be a weapon. Like I said, I like...
Yeah, those cure cartridges are pretty smart. Like, they're just... and they make them plastic, too, so they can use them right on Magneto.
Right, the humans...
and they wreck the
humans,
in this movie.
The Magneto is not really much of a threat when you think about it. I mean, he is, but, like, the humans are much smarter than him.
He gets baited bad.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, it's great to see. Like, it's not, like, this big epic... Yeah, it's not this big epic like finale you'd expect with Magneto, but like he's completely outwitted. Although, why is he not apprehended or arrested by the end of this thing?
Because he's already had. He's a broken man, Sean.
Yeah, but how many people has he killed? And he should be in jail. Yeah. He still committed those crimes, mutant or not. He threatened so many people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of the many plot holes in this movie. Like, how did Juggernaut live? He got knocked out?
Well, he lost his power, and then so he just has kind of a normal head.
Did he live?
Hey, you know what? I have ran full speed into a brick wall, but even then, I still didn't get knocked out and hurt, but, like...
How many of the mutants died at this thing? You know, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, Jean kills a lot of people in this movie too, and like
at the very last 5 minutes of the film, yeah.
No, that was pretty cool. There's some cool action scenes in the movie though. I like when Wolverine goes nuts in the woods and starts like stabbing people and like cutting people down. That was pretty cool. And then when Jean starts like turning people into ash in that, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. There's the fight scene where Charles eventually dies. There were some cool bits in there too, like where we're just kind of when he dies and like explodes basically. There's some good bits there, and I liked how like Magneto, even after like Charles kind of like meets his end, he still cares for his friend and still respects him despite their differences. So I like that little nod there. So there's a little bit of like gray area there with the villain there, because like Charles still was like one of his closest friends before they had their big falling out. So there's some good stuff kind of explored there. It's just, there's just too much going on. Like Jean Grey, she did not need to be in this movie. You could have just...
I would have introduced her as regular Phoenix.
Right, then... you could have just had the plot line with the mutant cure and Maggie, because she doesn't do as much. Like, she kills Charles, she kills Cyclops, and then at the end she starts killing people, but it's really still Magneto who's like kind of the driving force of it all. You could have just omitted her and saved that for another movie. Maybe the end of the movie is her kind of coming back, and you replace Kitty Pryde with Cyclops on the team, and you just have it just be about them versus Magneto and dealing with the fallout of Jean's death, and maybe they come to terms with it by the end of the movie. But there's really no chance for Cyclops to have even an arc because these movies just don't give a shit about him.
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, how many characters really get significant screen time? It's Magneto, Storm, Wolverine, and the Beast, really.
Right.
And Iceman's kind of a secondary character. And then they introduce a lot.
Iceman has more screen time in these movies than Cyclops. Think about that.
Yeah, that's just inexcusable. And especially in a movie about Phoenix, right? Phoenix became the secondary character, which is really blasphemous to the X-Men when you think about it, right? Because this is your most iconic arc, and then you just kind of shoehorn it into this movie for no reason. And then you kill Cyclops so early, too, so you can't really see him go through the mourning stage, and then the death of Jean Grey again is Dark Phoenix, so, he has to experience it twice, which would probably drive most people insane, I would guess.
Right.
But yeah, it was just so shoehorned in here, and I don't understand why. I would have probably brought Phoenix in. They clearly were setting up for a fourth movie with the confusing ending to it, and some of the hidden things in here, and they just never went with it. So I don't really know what went wrong here, but a lot of things clearly.
Right. There's a lot that went wrong. There's some bits I thought were pretty funny though. After Mystique basically sacrifices her mutant abilities to save Magneto. Yeah. So he throws her to the side like she's nothing. He's like, you were beautiful before. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? You see how hot she is? Like, even then, she still did all this stuff, but he was really kind of cold. But then she's just like, she rats his ass out, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah. That was pretty great to see.
Yeah, because the humans were really prepared from that. I mean, half this movie is almost just them attacking Alcatraz, where I don't know why they picked that as location. It looks cool, I guess.
Right.
And they're very well prepared, and they wipe out 75% of Magneto's forces in about 5 minutes.
But that's why, as he says, that's why you send the pawns first.
Yeah. So
I don't know how many people he got for this army, but he just so many people just die in this thing.
Yeah, and they had the plastic guns too, so they were really,
Oh no, they've gotten smart. He's just like, I remember he's like, look at these guns.
Ooh, yeah. And they could have just had Jean Grey go in and destroy the island, but that would have made too much sense and been really boring.
And Logan Crowley could have just.
And actually, that's kind of why they killed Phoenix in the first place, right? Because anyone watching this could kind of figure that out. Like, why doesn't this character just destroy everybody? It's very overpowered.
Ridiculously overpowered.
Yeah, and then they don't do it. They just stand there and watch. It's like, what? Why? Who booked this crap? The quote, Paul Levesque.
Oh, man, what a great movie. What a fantastic X-Men movie. It's clearly the best of the trilogy.
This is so stupid. It's frustrating because you waste two really good storylines by combining them into a very short movie that doesn't have enough time, quite frankly, to develop them or the characters.
Acting is still good for the most part for most of the actors. Aside from Rogue, she's still
who's really not even in this film much either.
Right, so that's why it's she doesn't bother me as much, but she's still not great. That storyline around her and that was still not very good. At least Bobby, his rivalry with Pyro had a payoff. It wasn't a great payoff.
Oh, that was a really bad fight scene.
That was very anticlimactic. But like I said, there's the best parts of the movie is Wolverine and Beast.
Yeah.
Beast is awesome. He's great.
I mean, that doesn't save this movie, Sean.
It doesn't fully save the movie, but it keeps it from being truly the worst thing I've seen.
There's so many glaring edits and plot hole issues too. I'm usually not someone drag it because you kind of suspend disbelief, and there's some for other X-Men movies which were good, but it's they cure Magneto in this movie, right?
Right.
And then when
they don't even throw him into jail or whatever unless he snuck away, it was the point. But even then, there were so many people that saw him you're Magneto,
but they don't like Magneto and they still saved him. And then Phoenix, right, who they do like, Wolverine just kills her. He doesn't even try to kill her.
He had no choice.
he doesn't have a choice. He could have just brought the cure.
But don't you understand? Like, she probably eviscerated all the cure.
But he didn't even have it in his hands, so we don't know.
No, you don't understand. He had to get his outfit destroyed so we could see how jacked and ripped Hugh Jackman was.
Yeah.
Or as I call him, huge jacked man.
Yeah, and then...
so he could be shirtless for the final, like, hug.
And then the other thing, too, that I thought was funny, this is also nitpicking, but, like, Jean Grey just looks like half dead as Dark Phoenix. Then when she gets stabbed, she's, like, fully covered in makeup, and I'm like, why? How does that make sense? How is that possible? That doesn't. It's very clear when you watch this film. It's not even like nitpicking, I think, because it's so obvious, and it's like, screw this editing.
Right.
Who did it?
I'll say this though: the movie doesn't drag. Like it's
like 90 minutes. So.
It's an hour, like 45 minutes. It flies by. Like by the end of it, you're like, that's it. It's over. At least it's quick. At least it's not like super long and boring. Like it's paced so like fast. Like, I mean, it skips over things. That's a problem for sure. Like, you don't really get to feel the emotional death of Cyclops because they just don't seem to care about this character.
Or you have a funeral for him.
Yeah, that pissed me off. Like, that's to me is the thing that annoyed me the most. They have a funeral for Charles, but they have nothing. Absolutely nothing for Cyclops at all. Nobody talks about his death. He has a gravestone at the end next to Jean, who fucking kills him.
Yeah. They loved each other, so.
Yeah, they loved each other, but it's still like, why didn't he get any acknowledgement when Charles? They could have had.
It just skips so much. That's the biggest issue with this movie, and that was no different.
Right, it skips too much, and it's just
we don't really understand why Phoenix is there, and they kind of half-assed it for the movie. Xavier's got some lame brain explanation.
Well, when she was younger, she had these problems, and pushed it away.
It's not like the comic where there's like a whole arc.
Shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, before Wesley. God, that'd be a good movie series to review, the Star Trek Next Generation. But yeah, this.
Oh man, I don't want to touch Star Trek.
Oh, I love Star Trek. That one's great. But yeah, it's just lazy storytelling on your two of your better stories. Right, you're definitely your most iconic one, which was so bad. Right, they actually had to remake it, and now I've never actually watched Dark Phoenix, even though I love the X-Men. And I don't think Sean has either. So
I haven't seen it. I've heard it's the worst.
But they had to remake that movie, and they're going to realistically do it again with the MCU probably.
Right, they can't until 2025 though, because the other contracts carry over for some of the casting of the X-Men.
And that will be interesting because I think with the sci-fi aspect we've seen in the MCU, they could probably do a truer to the comic story arc with the X-Men and Jean Grey.
Yeah, it's going to be weird to see how they bring in the X-Men to that, because like, I mean, the X-Men is so well established. Like, the X-Men is a series that could really stand on its own because there's so many like mutants, but now with a world that's as established as like the main Earth in the MCU, it's like, how do you even like factor into mutants like with people who already have powers and all? It's
and they're gonna have the issue too. They're gonna have to probably change the direction, right? Because they do the kind of persecution story a lot in this with Stryker and then the Cure, but yeah, people in the MCU are already used to the superpower,
right,
so why would they care about mutants? Like,
right.
I just saw Spider-Man, so why who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't know. This one in general, it is a big step down from X2 at least. X1, that one's just kind of a prototype. X1 is more of a prototype movie. Like, it doesn't have as much annoying stuff, but it's like doesn't have really like as much exciting stuff either because it's a prototype movie. But I'm going to cut it some slack because it is a prototype movie. They've had two previous movies. They did a really good job with X2, X-Men United, and there's no reason for this one to be as messy as it was because they've learned lessons, but they made more mistakes.
Well, there have already been other Fox superhero movies too of various success. Like we saw Fantastic Four before this, and then we saw the Hulk, which those two kind of stunk for vastly different reasons.
Yeah, Hulk 2003, but you also had
one very dumb.
But you had two fantastic Spider-Man movies before this one.
And two fantastic X-Men. So it's been a mixed bag so far.
I don't think the first X-Men's fantastic.
Oh, and Daredevil. Don't forget that gem.
Oh, and the spin-off Elektra.
Yeah, who doesn't like those movies? You get some new metal and some terrible combat scenes.
Actually, the Punisher liked
watching Daredevil fight men they was too incompetent to prosecute in a court of law.
I want to revisit that Daredevil movie. We'll watch the R-rated director's cut, or as I like to call it, Evanescence, the music video.
Oh,
wake me up inside.
God, they're great. They're great.
Oh, I also love Bullseye in that movie. fine. Bullseye is hilarious. Colin Farrell is just over the top.
Did we talk shit about, or crap about The Last Jedi yet in this review?
We've talked about it, I'm sure.
I'm sure we have. But yeah, this is definitely The Last Jedi of the X-Men series. It just serves no point. It's a lot of plot holes. You can really rant on. And this movie did what I hope Star Wars does, right? And just retcon, responsible for, you know, an entire retcon series, basically.
With Days of Future Past.
Because Days of Future Past literally exists. Well, I mean, one, it's an iconic story, but two, it literally just erased this whole movie for good reason.
Right. And then after that, it's just like, what do we do after Days of Future Past?
And yeah, this is an interesting film too, because it's clearly set up for a fourth movie, right? That's kind of established.
And they don't really follow it up. Like, they have a weird post-credit scene that's never followed up on, because we went into weird prequel mode after this.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I remember the X-Men Origins Wolverine, they were going to do one for Magneto, but they never did. They were going to do a Gambit movie, but never did.
They were going to do a Sinister movie, and never did.
Yeah, so. I think I was kind of tired by the time we got to X-Men Apocalypse, because I'm like, what are we even doing at this point? But thankfully, Deadpool came out, like, shortly afterwards, and that was really good. The next movie, we're going to get to Deadpool. Aren't you excited?
Oh, the good Deadpool, the one that doesn't talk, yeah.
Yeah, the one that doesn't talk.
The character known for talking. We're just going to think of silent. That was classic. That's actually really funny to think about. I don't know what they were thinking on that.
Oh, I'm excited to revisit it.
I don't know. We should actually go dig into why they did that. Let's see if we can find answers. That's a big mystery in cinema.
There's a lot of
that no one enjoyed. Nobody
enjoyed it.
The actors didn't like it. The fans didn't like it. It just doesn't make sense.
Right. But you know what? The timelines got fixed up thanks to Deadpool 2, if I remember, because he goes around and he fixes the timeline.
I'm not even going to pretend to understand the timelines of this. I know Xavier dies a lot, and they switch timelines a lot. And X-Men have always kind of changed time. I mean, Age of Apocalypse, we see time change there, and Days of Future Past, we see it. And then these movies don't introduce Cable or Bishop, but, they also... So that just gets confusing.
Well, Cable comes in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, well, because he's the time travel guy, right? And then there's a lot of X-Men stuff they just don't introduce.
There's a lot. There's so much X-Men stuff.
They don't do the Morlocks, which would have been interesting, or the Shi'ar.
He's more of an X-Men expert than I am. Expert than I am.
Oh, I see.
Damn it! I didn't realize that until I said it.
Yeah, that's terrible. No, this movie stinks. I think any X-Men purist will hate this. I get it's kind of like the Jurassic Park 3 of these movies too.
Jurassic Park 3, I still defend
in the way that it doesn't need to be, but it just kind of skips to the action. It doesn't really go over the story a lot. It just kind of wants to get. But this movie didn't need to be that, and because they had two interesting things. They don't develop either. It's kind of like the football adage: if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. Well, this movie's kind of the same. If you have two storylines, you really don't have one.
Right. I mean, if you have like an A story and a B story, at least make them like good.
But this was trying to be two A stories,
and then had to conclude a trilogy and all. It just
and
there's too much going on in this thing, and it really just kind of hurts it in the end. There's some cool bits to it for sure, and that's why I don't there's some elements that I like about it, enough to kind of save me from really disliking it. I don't hate this movie. I don't hate...
There's too many plot holes in it. Too much... again, they didn't even try to save Jean Grey. They could have...
Right. It at least kept me entertained for a chunk of it.
Why was Angel in this movie?
I don't know why Angel's in this movie. Why are there so many characters in this thing?
So many of these people aren't developed. It's really bad. Whatever happens to that guy who can turn into 7 people, who knows?
Oh, yeah. Nightcrawler's in there for a second. Never acknowledged again, even though he has a really...
doesn't want to help the X-Men, just God. And apparently, why doesn't Colossus get more lines? I mean, he's a cool X-Men, but in theory, this would be a time for him to shine because he can't.
So many wire fight maneuvers.
He can't even get cured. Why do they not shoot the cure at the X-Men? Does the government just trust them? Who really knows?
They did open fire on Jean Grey, but she just wiped it all out. So
that was probably a smart decision there.
Right. I don't know what they would have done after this. They had to clean the slate because it just didn't work.
That's another thing too. It doesn't really explain how Jean Grey can wipe people out, right? Because she's a telekinetic and she can read people's minds. But now in this movie, she just superpowers. She just dissolves people. She's like Thanos before Thanos, kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
she just kind of melts
dust.
people.
Yeah, they turn into dust.
Literally, it's the same effect and everything. It actually I will say there are some good things in it. That part does look cool. All the other CGI looks dumb and forced, like the part where Rogue just clears that fog for no reason.
No, it was a Storm.
Or Storm clears the fog. And
right.
then,
I can't see this fog. Well, I can clear it. Why the fuck didn't you do that when you landed?
Because we want more dialogue. And then, Rogue getting cured is interesting because that kind of goes against a lot of what I think these other movies have established, and it's at the end, and now we don't know what happens. If she and Bobby Drake fall in love, what happens to Kitty Pryde? Who knows? We would see an X-Men 4 if they made one, but they didn't. And
Days of Future Past is our X-Men 4.
Yeah, and Days of Future Past, unlike this movie, is really good.
I like Days of Future Past.
All right, well,
I think we rambled on for 25 minutes.
What are you going to score?
I'll give this one a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10. I am going to give
this... Because 5 isn't like a bad, it's fair, I think. 5.5 at most.
What did I score Morbius? Like 1.2?
No, 1.2 out of 1.
Yeah, 1.2 out of 1. Yes, right, Morbius. No, I would give this film probably like a 1.3, 1.4. Yeah, I was thinking I was going to score this in the zeros, but no.
There's bits, you were still like bits you were kind of having fun
There
with.
are worse superhero movies. Fantastic Four is definitely worse than this.
One for
Morbius, I don't think is worse than this. I really don't like the Elektra movie. Yeah, that's probably worse.
I want
Catwoman.
Oh, that's like a 0 out of 10.
Yeah, that
ironically has Halle Berry in it.
I hate Wonder Woman 84. People might disagree with me on that. I scored that in the zeros.
No, trust me. A lot of people hate Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, so I put that in the zero. This is a better movie than that. At least this movie's shorter, so it's got that going.
Yeah.
So is it the worst superhero movie? No, I think it's the worst of the X-Men ones. Hugh Jackman's funny, so
Hugh Jackman's great.
Him at least gives it a 1. So
yeah, Hugh is still like the best part of this movie, along with Beast. Like those two, I'm like, I wouldn't have just mind a buddy cop movie with Beast and that.
Honestly, this film might be better than a 1.2, but when you see what potential it has and what it could have been, I just can't score it higher than that. Right. This is a movie that could have been like a 9.
Right, there's potential there. So 5.5 for me. I think I might go 5.5 because that's a 55. That's 55%.
Too generous.
That's because like I said, it's the mixed bag for a lot of bits. But I don't hate the movie because like I feel like below 5 is like this is really bad. This one at least kept me entertained for some bits. It's not something I want to revisit again, but it's not something I just absolutely like loathe.
Yeah, this is it. I don't need to watch this movie. I just can't imagine my opinion changing.
Right, I can't imagine it either. But anyways, we've talked longer than I think we have the other two because this is your favorite of the X-Men movies. Be sure to come back.
Your money's worth, baby. Free entertainment. Like and subscribe.
Right. Be sure to come back next time. We're going to be talking about X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Hopefully my blood pressure goes back down for that one.
I haven't seen that one all the way through since the theaters. So.
Wait, is it First Class or Origins?
No, it's Origins is next because it's 2009, and then it's First Class. So
yeah, we have a couple of mediocre films. Well, that one's bad and mediocre. But...
Then we have First Class. Then afterwards, I think it's The Wolverine, which I've never actually seen before.
Is that not even on Disney Plus either? We're gonna have to find a DVD or something.
We will find it, and then we will watch Days of Future Past. We'll watch the Rogue cut because it's got more Rogue.
Oh, just what I wanted, more Rogue.
Yes, so...
I mean, again, this character should be fun. That was the biggest criticism of this series. Why does Rogue suck so much in these?
Yeah, why do they hate Cyclops so much?
Cyclops and Rogue, sorry.
At least we got Beast.
Sorry, Scott. Cool.
Sorry, Scott. Scott, you just don't get it.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had so many Austin Powers references in this thing.
Seriously, what did Scott do to that? This is like your icon. He's the original X-Men, right?
Right. Like I love Cyclops in the cartoon when I used to watch it, but
in this movie, just not for you, pal. I'm gonna give you like 3 minutes. I like killing characters too. I actually thought it was kind of a cool concept to kill him, but it just why so early in the film?
Right. If it was like ended like the second act or something,
yeah,
could have worked. Or maybe maybe him and Xavier at the same time.
There was no build to it, no suspense. It just came right out of nowhere, and it wasn't even really acknowledged. But
poor Cyclops. All right, well, we've talked long enough. Like and subscribe. Be sure to come back to next X-Men whenever we get around to watching it. Is going to be X-Men Origins Wolverine. So, but this is The Last Stand, his favorite. So
The Last Stand of bad filmmaking.
Oh, no. We still got a couple more X-Men movies. We haven't gotten to Dark Phoenix yet. We haven't gotten to X-Men Origins Wolverine, which
There's
everyone
so
hates.
many good ones in here though too. Like
We
Logan,
haven't gotten to New Mutants, which I've
Past.
never seen.
Do we have to do New Mutants?
We have to do New Mutants.
This ain't an X-Men
No,
movie.
it's New Mutants. It counts.
Oh my god, that's gonna be a.
And then we have the Legion TV. No, we're not counting TV. We're just counting the movies. So
But we get to do Logan. That'll be fun.
I can't wait to watch Logan again.
Oh, that's gonna be
Logan,
good.
like
That's gonna be
that was like my favorite. I think if I had to choose, that one's actually a well-made movie.
So Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool is pretty great as well. So
So X2.
X2?
There's a lot of brilliance in this series.
there's some good stuff that I've seen, and then there's some like mediocre ones like X-Men
or
Apocalypse.
disasters.
Then there's X-Men Apocalypse, which I remember seeing like outside of the one incredible scene, there's nothing of value for that. Apocalypse has one incredible scene, which is my favorite scene in all these movies. That's the Quicksilver scene where he's playing like sweet like Eurythmics and he's saving everyone. That's incredible. But everything else in that movie, completely forgettable.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, 30 minutes. We've gone long enough. Like
right.
10 minutes for each movie. I don't know. Whatever. No more. Bye-bye.
Rock and roll. Bye.